Assalamu alaikum, dear students of class 11th. Hope you're fine. Dear students, as you know, we are reading a lesson discovering that the saga continues, written by A.R. Williams. In today's class, we'll be discussing from para last page 23. Now let's start. Last para. The sun can beat down like a hammer this far south in Egypt, and Carter tried to use it to loosen the resins for several hours. For several hours, he set the mummy outside in blazing sunshine that heated it to 149 degrees Fahrenheit. Nothing budged. Nothing budged, he reported with scientific detachment that consolidated material had to be chiseled away from beneath the limbs and trunk before it was possible to raise the king's remains. Dear students, here are some difficult words in this para. Blazing. Blazing means very hot, बहुत गर्म. Budged means moved or shifted, a slight movement. Shift हो जाना, move हो जाना, that's called budged. B-U-D-G, budged. Chiseled away means to cut something with a chisel. Dear students, here it says that Carter tried to loosen the resins by keeping the body in the hot sun. Carter tried to loosen the resins by keeping the body in the hot sun. He kept the mummy in 149 degrees Fahrenheit heat for several hours, but still it remained stuck. He reported that a chisel could be used to cut down the mummy from the limbs and the trunk so that the Tut's body could be taken out of the coffin. In his defense, now text. In his defense, Carter really had little choice. If he had cut the mummy free, thieves most certainly would have circumvented the gods and ripped it apart to remove the gold. In that time, the royals were fabulously wealthy, and they thought or hoped they could take their riches. With them for this journey to the great beyond. King Tut was lavished with glittering goods, precious collars, inlaid necklaces and bracelets, rings, amulets, ceremonial apron, sandals, sheaths for his fingers and toes, and now iconic inner coffin and mosque, all of pure gold. To separate Tut from his adornments, God's men removed the mummy's head and severed nearly every major joint and severed nearly every major joint. Once they had finished, they assembled the remains on a layer of sand in a wooden box with padding that concealed the damage. The bed where Tut now rests. In this para, here are some difficult words. One word is circumvented. Circumvented means find a way around. Thieves would have found a way to tackle the gods and remove the gold from the tomb. Circumvented. Circumvented means find a way around. That is, thieves would have found a way to tackle the gods and remove the gold from the tomb. Inlaid. Inlaid means a decorative pattern on a surface. Inlaid means a decorative pattern on a surface. Amulet. Amulet means an ornament or small piece of jewelry thought to give protection against evil, danger, or disease. Amulet. Amulet means an ornament or small piece of jewelry thought to give protection against evil, danger, or disease. Apron. Apron means a protective garment worn over the front of one's clothes and tied at the back. Apron. Sheaths means a close fitting cover. Now there is another word, iconic. Iconic means something or someone who is a symbol, or it represents some other thing who is a symbol, or it represents some other thing. Adornments means ornaments. Adornment means ornaments. Concealed means hide. Now let me explain this para according to Carter. He had no choice other than to cut the mummy. He had no choice other than to cut the mummy. He believed that if he had not done that, thieves would have removed the gold from the tomb and would have looted it. During that time, the royal people were very wealthy, and they had a belief that after that they could take the wealth along with them. For his life after death, he was given precious collars, necklaces with decorative patterns, bracelets or rings, amulets, ceremonial aprons, sandals, sheaths for fingers and toes, and now an iconic inner coffin and a mask. His men removed his head and every joint of his body. After they finished, they reassembled the remains in a wooden box with padding filled with a layer of sand to conceal the damage. It was his new resting place. Now next para. Archaeology has changed substantially in the intervening decades, focusing less on treasure and more on the fascinating details of life and intriguing mysteries of death. It also uses more sophisticated tools, including medical technology. In 1968, more than 40 years after Carter's discovery and anatomy, Professor X-rayed the mummy and revealed a startling fact. Beneath the resins that cakes his chest, his breastbone and front ribs are missing. Here are some difficult words in this para. One word is intervening. Intervening means occur in time between events. Another word is that is intriguing. Intriguing means to arouse one's curiosity. Startling. Startling means unexpected or surprising. Unexpected or surprising. Dear students, in this para, Wright says that in the past in the last few decades, archaeology has changed as it now focuses on the details of life. Archaeology has changed, and it now focuses on the details of the life and the mysteries of death. Archaeology has totally changed, and it works and it focuses on the details of life and mysteries of death. Earlier it was about focusing on the treasure, right? Earlier it was focusing on the treasure. Now it uses more advanced medical technologies and tools for research. In 1968, an anatomy professor X-rayed King Tut's mummy and revealed that the front limbs and breast bone were missing. Right? Now para number 9. It is next para. Today, diagnostic imaging can be done with computed tomography. This next para. Today, diagnostic imaging can be done with computed terminology, tomography, or CT, by which hundreds of X-rays in cross section are put together like slices of bread to create a three-dimensional virtual body. What more would a CT scan reveal of that than the X-ray, and could it answer two of biggest questions still lingering about him? Now, first is, how did he die? How did this die? And how old was he at the time of his death? And how old was he at the time of his death? King Tuk's demise was a big event, even by royal standards. He was the last of his family's line, and his funeral was the death rattle of dynasty. But the particulars of his passing away and its aftermath are unclear. There are some difficult words. Computed tomography means it's also called a CT scan. It is a three-dimensional scan of a body with the help of hundreds of X-rays in cross section together. So, what is computer terminology? Tomography. Computer tomography. It is also called a CT scan. It is a three-dimensional scan of a body with the help of hundreds of X-rays in cross section together. Another word is that is demise. Demise means death. Death rattle. That rattle is another word. It means the gurgling sound produced in the throat of a person who is about to die. Death rattle. The gurgling sound produced in the throat of a person who is about to die. Aftermath means after effects of an unpleasant event. Now, let me explain this para. That says now the advancement of technology, CT scan or computer tomography can give a virtual image of the whole body. With the help of this technology, King Tut's body would be scanned to find answers to questions. Now, first is how he died, how Tut died, and how old was he at the time of his death. These are the two questions: how Tut died, and now second question is how old he was at the time of death. It says that his death was a shock. His death, that means King Tut's death, was a shock to the royals, as he was the last person of his family, and his funeral the ad, indicated the diminishment of his dynasty, and his funeral indicated the diminishment of his dynasty. However, what happened after his death is still no clear. Right? आज इतना ही, आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.